This video demonstrates how to install the AllegroGraph plugin to TopBraid Composer. This is the TopBraid interface as you see it just after installing TopBraid Composer. To install the AllegroGraph plugin, reach for the Help menu and click on Install New Software. This opens the Available Software dialog box. Click the Add button in the upper right, which opens the Add Site box, and then type in AllegroGraph plugin and paste in the location of the AllegroGraph archive. Click OK. This brings us back to the Available Software dialog box. First thing to do is to come down and uncheck or clear the Group Items by Category box. That changes the options that you can select farther up, and we want the sole option in this case, the Franz AllegroGraph feature. Then click on the Next button. Click on Next again. You do have to accept the terms of the license agreement in order to proceed, and then click Finish. TopBraid Composer will download the plugin. If it asks you about unsigned content, just tell it to go ahead. To complete the installation, you have to close TopBraid Composer and reopen it. To test the AllegroGraph plugin installation, you'll need access to an AllegroGraph server version 4.0.6 or later. You'll need the URL and port number of the server, plus the name and password of an AllegroGraph user who is authorized to create and manipulate a triple store. The first step in testing the plugin is to right-click on the TopBraid folder and create a new folder. And the new folder name will be AG4 for AllegroGraph. There's our new folder. In the Navigator pane, open the Examples node and double-click on the Geotravel.owl ontology. This will open the ontology in various panes across the TopBraid interface. The next step is to export Geotravel.owl as an AllegroGraph database. In the Navigator pane, right-click the TopBraid AG4 folder and select Export from the context menu. In the Export dialog box, open the TopBraid Composer folder and select Export, Merge, Convert RDF Graphs. Click on Next. On the next panel, select the AllegroGraph 4 database storage format and give the file an appropriate name. We only want to export one graph, which is pre-selected. Click on Next. This is where we enter our AllegroGraph credentials: the server URL, the username, and the password. If we're going to use the root catalog of AllegroGraph, simply leave this field blank. And then we need a repository name. And click Finish. When the data is finished loading, you'll see a Geotravel AG4 file in your AG4 folder. At this point, it's important to close the ontology overview for Geotravel.owl because we're about to open it again based on the data that's inside AllegroGraph server. Double-click on Geotravel.ag4 and you'll get a dialog box that asks you to reconfirm your connection information for AllegroGraph server. Click on Finish. And now we have the AllegroGraph version of this ontology. To see the AllegroGraph plugin in action, pull down the Window menu, Show View, and all the way down to the bottom, click on Other. This opens the Show View dialog box. Scroll down to the TopBraid folder and select the AllegroGraph view. The AllegroGraph view appears way over here in the corner. This is a query environment. This first button executes the query. The second one turns on AllegroGraph's RDFS++ reasoning. And the third button changes the language of the query. You can use either Sparkle or Prolog. This default query asks for the subclass of triples. We'll just run that. And there's quite a few subclasses. If we scroll down to the bottom of the search results, we can discover that yoga is a subclass of relaxation activities. To see AllegroGraph's reasoning in play, we'll turn on reasoning and run the query again. Came back very quickly. This time there are two yoga triples. We have the original one that says that yoga is a relaxation activity, and a second one that has been entailed from the first by reasoning, saying that if it's a relaxation activity, it must also be an activity. We can run the same query as a Prolog query now. We'll replace the Sparkle query with the equivalent written in the Prolog query language. This is still asking for all triples that show a subclass of predicate. We run that query. We get the same results, just not in the same order. Here's the original yoga triple, and much farther down the list we find the entailed triple. The fact that these queries are returning entailed results demonstrates that the AllegroGraph plugin to TopBraid Composer is installed and is working correctly.